decision starts with a human story. And every human story begins with a decision. Think of all the decisions you have made in your life from the young age. Decisions change your lives, and decisions can change other people's lives, and other people's lives can change your decisions. And decisions can also change your family. It can change your world, your work, and society. And consequently, it's what contributes to the world we live in today. But now we have AI, and AI has even a faster impact on our decisions. But decisions still remain humans. We created AI, and we decided to bring AI along. So before we move to AI-augmented decision intelligence, I will tell you a little bit of my personal story, which led me to where we are today. So I'm born in South Korea, and I moved to France when I was a baby. I was adopted. And I ended up in a very small town, and I was the first Asian in this town. My adoptive mother passed away when I was 1.5 years old. And at school, I was the black sheep. I looked different, so it was difficult for me to integrate. And back in the days, they were showing videos, movies about the Vietnam War, and people in Europe did not really make the difference between Vietnamese, Korean, Chinese. So I was the Vietnamese. And when I was 11, I started to read psychology books because I wanted to understand why people are the way they are and why do they judge in a way that they judge. So because of those books, I started to understand more human behavior, why decisions were made a certain way, and why I was always feeling excluded. And slowly, I started to understand how to interact with people. And so by the age of 19, I was much more confident. I could integrate in groups, and so I had a lot of confidence. And luckily, I had a little inheritance from my adoptive mother, who passed away when I was a baby. So I decided to go traveling rather than taking the conventional path and study. So, you know, when you're 19, remember you're 19. Maybe some of you, it's not so long ago, and for others, it's a long time ago, but we all remember that kind of age when we're around our 20s. We have ambition, we have energy, we want to have fun, we have enough confidence. And so my beginnings of traveling was just to have fun. And then I learned to find jobs, I started to work, I made money, and I traveled. So I kept traveling, working, traveling. I worked to travel. And I went in many places, the Pacific Islands, North Africa, Latin America. So I was very fortunate until one day when I ended up in a civil war area. And because after a while I started to travel more remote. And it was a shock for me, because I went from these, great party days and living in denial of all the problems in the world, to suddenly end up in a village where a bomb exploded 7 kilometers from where I stayed. And the next morning, when leaving, that village was full of buses coming with refugees coming from the next village. So you had a border within a small area. And this is when I realized that I had wasted many years just not seeing what really happened in the world. And I felt so bad about it that I felt like I needed to do something to make a difference. So I chose to devote time to volunteer. And I chose one of the most challenging places in the world. And I went to volunteer in the Central America's largest landfill. And when I arrived to volunteer there, they had just finished burning. This garbage dump is the largest in Central America. And sometimes it goes on fire, and just after I arrived, it had gone on fire, and they had to close the city because the pollution was so bad. The smell, just going by bus to go to work, to go to the project where I was working, which was to help children with education. The women were working in the landfill. They had to bring their children because the children couldn't stay unattended, especially babies. Some babies got lost in the landfill because the machines would come, pick up the garbage to move it, and then sometimes they would never find their babies. The area is controlled, and still today, by the gangs. And at the age of 8 years old, children have to join a gang, sometimes earlier, for protection. And that's the way of life there because of the extreme poverty. And my role was just to assist the teachers, to help them, help the children to educate themselves so they could have a better future. And I remember there was this little girl who was reading everything she found. And I was thinking when I was young, I was like, school is boring, but there, school is everything, is the one thing that could change their life forever. And when I worked there, initially, I was the only Asian as well, so it was quite funny for them to have someone, from the other side of the world, whom they had the American volunteers, but not Asian, so they were very curious. But we got on well, and so to give you the conditions of the area, this area had 60,000 people living in extreme poverty, and the income was $2 a day, pretty much per family, just to work in the landfill. So they would bring garbage at their home and separate paper, plastic, and I remember when I was there, they were paid by the kilo of paper. So imagine how long it would take to make a kilo. And most people relied on the dump, so when they burned the dump, then they couldn't work, so it's a really rough condition. So most people are more tempted to turn into crime because crime pays better than working in the dump. And 41% won't reach even high school, and less than 1% would reach university. But the project ended up to be very successful. And today, they have 550 children who are supported, 90% who advance each year. During COVID, they had a better attendance rate. More of them were doing their homework than universities, than popular schools. And So now 33 students currently enrolled in universities, and one just graduated recently as a doctor. So what you learn in these areas is that success can come from even the places where it feels like the most impossible. And when I went back to Europe after my volunteering time, I wanted to do something. I wanted to make a difference in the world, but then I had to earn an income because that's how life is, right? You can't just try to do good things. You have to also survive and prepare your future. So I went to live in Paris, and I was also an artist, so I tried to make it as an artist, but it was very difficult because all the galleries were give us 200 euros and you will have half a day of exhibition. So I was getting quite upset about it. And I really wanted to make a difference at the same time and be in that artistic world and try to make an income, and I just didn't know what to do. So I went to work in tech companies as a salesperson initially because I had to make an income, and I was good at it. And at the same time, in my spare time, I decided to build an organization called World Citizen Artists, where artists could promote social issues through art and music and any medium. And I thought it was going to be a great organization where everyone will want to do good things, to make a difference in the world. And I was wrong. The first thing was everyone had their own agenda. Artists wanted exposure. Sponsors wanted artists to align with them, with their agenda. Venues wanted to make sure that they had the right type of audience. Then I got approached by all the religions who said we can help you, but all the religions wanted us to promote their religion. Then there were different beliefs in every culture. People believe in different codes. And social media was very hard to handle. We had so it grew very fast at the start. We had 10,000 followers on Facebook, but 10,000 followers fighting for their own agenda. Artists were saying, my art is better than yours. People who had their belief were saying, my religion is better than yours. And I was, why did I build this? And because my goal was to make a difference in the world, and I ended up realizing that everyone just wanted a difference for themselves. And so I created a competition for artists involving venues and sponsors, which was called Compete for Peace, Not War. And if artists wanted to win, and the prize was very interesting because I did a partnership with the Belgravia Gallery, who exhibited the work of Picasso, Nelson Mandela, King Charles. So the motivation was high, but what they had to do was to submit work that would speak about peace. And they had to research about peace. So even if they didn't believe in peace and they just wanted their work exhibited, they had to provide a little essay about why their work relates to peace. And we had 3,000 submissions, 110 countries, over 110 countries participated. And we had, in total, during the length of the organization, 180 work featured. But it wasn't enough. I felt that it was great. Artists started to raise awareness around them about social issues. But it's awareness, right? So it's great that everybody thinks I want to do something good, but that's where it stops. And one day I was watching a documentary called War Child, which was about Emmanuel Jal, who is a former child soldier. He grew up in Sudan. And in Sudan, he was serving as a child soldier. I think it was around the age of 8, crossing deserts and seeing his friends being killed in the desert, children, and having to think of killing other children to survive. And I was really touched by this. And then I remembered also my time in Guatemala when in the garbage dump. And I thought, why don't we make a competition that pushes people one step further? So I contacted Emmanuel Jal's agent, and I said, I've got an idea. I want to make this competition called One for All. We'll just ask artists to give $1 minimum to contribute to change, to help an organization who are making a real difference on the ground. So Emmanuel Jal he went from child soldier to being a UN refugee, and he then advocated for South Sudan, for peace in Sudan, with George Clooney. He did music with Alicia Keys, so he was a very famous, he is still a very famous artist. And so he constructed a non-profit organization called Gua Africa, which is helping former child soldiers and refugees from the war to benefit of university education. And to go just to the university, it cost $1 to take the bus for 1 week, just to attend university. And in Safe Passage, $1 is the equivalent of half a day of work. So this was to raise awareness, but also to provide the funding to help these organizations. So the minimum fee for participation was $1. And a lot of artists were so shocked by the life conditions, and that $1 was nothing. You know, they were battling to try to pay their 200 euros a day for an exhibition, but $1 was nothing. And we had a lot of applications, and in these applications we had people who gave $1,000 as a donation just to enter the competition. So it became more meaningful for them to be part of something bigger. And so this was a real impact. So the first thing was more like a social awareness. And that second step was, how do you measure impact? And so this competition funded 235 weeks for Go Africa of bus travels and 254 days of garbage dump labor for families. And that's where was born the Social Impact Global, for which I've written a book, so the SIG framework, which is helping organizations and even businesses, it can be useful in every area, to build a project or to solve a problem. So the first part is to analyze the social context. The second part is to create impact, but measurable impact. And the other part is how you transport it to the global, a more global audience. So the best way, we have a little bit of time. Actually, no, I'm speaking too much. We have maybe a few minutes. The best way to understand it and how to use it. Do you all have AI on your phone? Yes? Okay, so go to the highest level you have, and if you have the amateurish level, it's fine. You can use it as well. So just type Valerie Wanley SIG framework and see what comes up. Sorry. Yes, Valerie Wanley, so that's my name. So Valerie, 1 W-O-N, and then L-E-E, SIG framework. Yep. So what do you get? Okay, what does it say about the framework?
It's a practical methodology for bridging environments across cultures, sectors, and generation to create lasting impact.
Okay. Well, now ask AI to go deeper. What is the social part of the SIG framework? The social part of the SIG framework.
To understand the human context and social context, to identify stakeholders involved or affected, analyze inclusion, diversity, trust, and social consequences in the decision-making process.
Mm-hmm. Now, who has a startup here? Only one person? Okay, that's okay. Just think of, yeah? Okay, just think of, either you think of your startup, if it's online, then AI can find it, or think of somewhere where you've worked or a company that you're curious about, and ask it to do a SIG framework, so Valerie Wanley's SIG framework analysis of this company. And normally, what should come up is, the stakeholders of these companies, what is the impact area, what is its measurable impact, and if it doesn't come up, just tell it. Just tell AI, give me more information about the social context of the SIG framework for this company. Give me more. Give me what has been measured in the impact size. Then there's more, of course, but we don't have enough time to go in depth. Yes? Yeah.
Studies, for example, it gives a score, 8 out of 10 for social. People trust communities. And it talks about, like, for example, it's better places strategy for human, blah, blah, blah. But, for example, I was inside and I can tell it wasn't an 8 out of 10. So how should we read it?
If it's not accurate, just challenge it.
Okay.
Just tell it, I don't agree.
I mean, I agree with what it said and how it's proposed also on the website and so on.
Yeah.
But having lived it, I would say it's not an 8 out of 10. So what's the...
Why not? Ask it. Why does it qualify it as out of 10, as 8 out of 10? Because that is definitely how AI is probably communicating some things about your company. And this is the thing with any framework. You need to speak with AI. You need to understand how does AI understand you? How does it understand your company? How does it understand your impact? Do you even make an impact? Or does it say it makes more impact than it should? Because more and more people are not Googling, they're AIing. So if they want to know about your company, they're going to go on AI. If they want to know about you, they're going to go on AI. And the SIG framework is just one framework among many. But the analysis that AI does is what it probably communicates to other people when they research you. Yes?
Hi. ChatGPT says, if Valerie Wonley were conducting a serious SIG assessment, she would eventually move from intentions to results. Based on the information available about MetaQ, the results can be divided in 3 categories: demonstrated results, and it has them; plausible results, these are highly likely outcomes but require systematic measurements; and missing evidence. And this is so useful for us in our ONG platform. So I'm so happy that we found you.
I'm happy to hear, thank you. Now, try something. So you're still on your phone? Try something now, create a problem. Create a problem. So stay in that conversation thread and create a problem. I don't know. But you can even be in a group if you want. You can do it with, you can, do it with your group and challenge it. Like if you want, speak with the people beside you and just explain what to. We can take 10 minutes. But start to challenge it. Just start to say, I don't know, it depends what it is. But for example, for Safe Passage, I could say, a scandal has happened, a volunteer has stolen money from the till, How do we solve the problem? How can SIG help me solve that problem? So try to challenge it, make up a problem. And if the answer doesn't feel right, keep challenging it, because what you're doing is you're educating AI to be your thinking partner. You need it to understand how you're functioning. So yes, it will not be exactly what you want, but you need to educate it. And I know there was that's a while ago, but it kept putting me in competition with some personality that has nothing to do with what I do, and I kept telling it it's not, and I kept telling it why it's not, and then eventually it started to understand. Okay, Valerie Wonley is not attached to this, but sometimes you have to get it to dig further, like you do with a child or a teenager. Because at the moment, AI is learning from us. At the moment, this is the time you can communicate with it, and you can still, it wants to learn from it. So it's easy to say, well, AI is not completely accurate, but if you're not giving it accuracy, how is it going to become accurate? It's not born from AI, it's born from humans. And soon well, not soon actually, we have now the AI agent, but soon people will be able to program their own AI agent. So if you program your AI agent to understand how to work with you, it could be great. But if you just rely on someone to fix it for you, you don't know really what's going to come out. But now is the time that you can educate it. It's like children. You can't let a child grow and then, you know, the child gets to 16 and say, he's not behaved well. I mean, if you did not educate it, yes, it will not behave well. So you need to help it map itself. You need to, you know, stress test and to allow the room for mistakes, whether from you or AI. You can't just put it all on AI. You can't just say ChatGPT is not that great. I mean, you got to, you have the power now. You have the power, but you won't always have it. Yes, there are bias, but you have the power to change those bias. You're not alone. But if everyone lets the people who already have the power, I mean, it is a lost battle, isn't it? So use it. Use it, understand it. And from what you understand, you will be able to contribute better. You won't change everything. There are things that will be probably controlled, like the environment before AI, but participation is as valuable as non-participation. Yes?
So I found it interesting. I asked Gemini to apply the SIG framework for building a dam in India, that it will displace a lot of people and it will also affect the flora and fauna. And so it has given me some interesting insights that this is about. So is the framework meant to give you some ideas as well, or just test it? Because it has given me some interesting ideas that.
Yeah, it's a framework that helps you question in those three areas: the social context, the measurable impact, and how to take something global, local to global or global to local. So it's a framework.
But I mean, sorry, for example, in this, it doesn't have much global aspect. Like, it's a very local project. So is it all right that some projects don't have any global impact?
Just tell it to do me an analysis on whatever you want to know about that global side. Just ask it the question. It won't come up with the answers unless you ask it.
So we have to like play with it for a bit. All right.
Keep questioning.
Thank you.
AI might be a child, but you're also the child with it. You have to question it. Why do you think like this? We're learning from each other. We're learning from AI. AI is learning from us. We're learning how to collectively work together. And so now we're going to do a little exercise. So you're going to be in a group of 3. Try to be in a group of 3. Yes? Yeah. Group of 3 with anyone. And we're going to do a little exercise. I did mention to Safe Passage. I will use them as a case study because they need something. So let's do something good at the same time we're practicing. They want to know what would be the best solution for them to raise awareness to the younger generation globally. So see if AI can help you with the SIG framework to bring more attention. So it's a Safe Passage Guatemala, the name of the organization. Hang on, I have the I have it here. Safe passage. Guatemala, write Guatemala, and just with your group, you can approach the framework whichever way you want. So I will put you back to the framework. And if it's too small, feel free to go closer or take a photo and zoom. Oh. And you have 10 minutes, just 10 minutes with your group to come up with a solution using AI as much as you want, using the SIG framework or other framework, ask it any question. The SIG framework should be quite helpful. So what Safe Passage wants is more young people around the world to come and join them volunteering or spread the word. They want people to be involved. Whichever way, 10 minutes. You can. If you don't want to join a group, you can do on your own as well, but otherwise, yes, you were not here before. Maybe, would you mind to take one more person in your group? Oh, if you want. Oh, you want to? Yeah. Yeah. So you can understand how it works. But you can use also other, if you think of other mean, you can use other mean, that's fine. Yes?
The problem? What was the problem?
Safe Passage, you know the organization I worked for in Guatemala? They want more young people to be involved in their project, to spread the word, to volunteer. And so you have 10 minutes. You can use the SIG framework. You can use just your brainstorming to find a solution. It's a very short exercise. Sorry. Just wait. How is it going? Feel free to ask if you have any questions. Es fácil para usted, ¿no?
What the AI is proposing, and it makes sense, is that people need meaning and identity, more than focusing on charity.
Interesting. Any questions? Everything okay?
No,
No? Okay. Do you have any questions? Everything all right?
We're still a bit, so we analyzed
Oh,
it
yeah.
through the SIG confused. We analyzed it with the SIG framework. So now we have an idea on how the company works.
Yeah.
And now it's just to challenge it on how we can reach new volunteers, young volunteers, right?
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
see
yeah.
if it gives us a good solution that we, through our judgment,
Yeah.
that's it.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, in reality, it would require more time to get something solid, but this is just a little sample of how you can communicate with it.
Because you have the answer.
Okay. Oh, that's fine. How is it going? Yes? Okay. Any questions? No? That's fine. Okay. Did you come up with something?
Yeah.
Cool. How is it going? Yeah? Did you come up with something?
Yes, because we were just seeing that in the beneficiary groups, you
Yeah.
have, so we would have the people in Guatemala, but also the young people who are helping, they're also getting something in return. They also bring it in.
Okay, so okay. I see that it's been fun. I'm still here. Okay, let's go through the result now. So we won't be able to go through everyone. So what I will just do is whoever volunteers to let us know what solution they came up. Let's hear it. I think the girls came up with something.
Okay, so the prompt that we used to figure out this was to. Excuse me. No. Sorry. Okay, so we used ChatGPT,
Yeah.
and the prompt we used, it was analyze Guatemala with the SIG framework, and to propose a solution to create awareness to teenagers. And well, it said using the SIG lens for Guatemala, getting teenagers more involved isn't just about engagement programs. It's about aligning social inclusion, real-world impact, and global opportunities. So participation actually leads to mobility and trust in institutions. So for the social part, practically it said make participation real, trusted, and rewarding. For the part of impact,
Okay, but
give teenagers measurable ownership of change.
Oh.
And for the global part, connect teens to opportunities beyond their immediate environment.
So what is in one sentence, what is your solution? In one sentence, like without reading it, like what is the solution? What should they do?
So, well, the key insight, in my opinion, will be like to make teenagers' voices matter practically. Like, go also psychologically, not like
Okay.
make them matter.
Okay. Yes? Thank you.
I think it's, and at least the outcome we had was pretty interesting. Before, first of all, it says that basically the Guatemala has a globalization issue because, I mean, it's all top line, huh?
Yeah.
But, because it lies on the local communities, so it therefore doesn't actually actively go to foreigners' communities or in global and volunteers in that sense. But anyway, it has been interesting because with the SIG framework, like I asked I asked what the strategies would be for a global, like on the globalization point to improve the rating. What would be the strategy that could attract young volunteers? It's explained what young volunteers are looking for and so on, but then it gave a whole table that analyzed the different strategy as global volunteer network, university partnership, digital volunteering, young ambassador, Guatemala immersion programs, career path developments, through social impact and global, and gave us a quick matrix where we can evaluate quickly what could be actually a strategy, what the best strategy, or based on our judgment, to move forward and solve the issue. So I think this has been, it's not a final answer, but I think it's a nice way to get to a solution in that way, using the framework, this or whichever framework could be used, but it's pretty interesting. Thank you.
Thank you. And we can do one more. One more group. Yeah? Okay.
Hi. Well, the first part, it was to think about the main stakeholders. So it's not only about the young women in Guatemala, but also the young women around the world, the young people around the world, sorry. And it was interesting because we could ask them if what they're getting out of helping a project. And the interesting answer was we can make young people around the world to see that they can create an impact, leave a legacy, and to think that stop thinking about that empty sentence that we repeat, the older people. And I'm sorry, my young partner here doesn't belong to this group, but we usually say they're part of the future. No, they're part of the today. They're creating the future today, and they're here today, and that's an incredible opportunity to let them know that we appreciate that and that they can leave a legacy.
Thank you. Okay, so thank you for everyone for doing this research. Sorry, we won't have time to go through all of them, but my point is now you've all used the SIG framework, but none of you came up with the exact same solution, right? You all had a different angle. And this is one thing about decision, which we will come back to later. But first, just a very quick note to say that the SIG can be used in pretty much everything. Communication, sales, stakeholder engagement, crisis communications, investor speech as well, pitch analysis. If you're an investor and you want to know if a project will be making a real impact and will be easy to transcribe into global, that's a framework you use. So of course, this is just a sample, so it's not perfect. You would need to have a little bit more sessions to understand it, how to use it properly, but it's a sample that can tell you what you can do with it. But now we've seen what decision can be made and what framework we can use. But there's one important thing about decision, is how decisions are made, because the what and how is not the same thing. And when we make a group decision, there are forces. Think about the last group decision you've been into. You have different forces. You have forces that are driving the decision. You have forces that are challenging the decisions. And these forces can be anything. They can be human, they can be events, they can be obstacles, they can be systems, and now they can also be AI agents, because AI agents will have a huge impact on our decisions. And have you ever been on a road trip, a group road trip? Okay, and the road trip is very typical of the group decision. Very often, not everyone agrees. So here is an example of 7 forces in one car. You have the driver who is, we're about to go to 3 exits, and nobody even knows where to go yet. So he's driving and he's stressing out, and where are we going? Then you have the challenger who is like, are we even sure we're on the right road? Who is making these decisions? And then you have the integrator who comes up with, okay, everyone, let's agree. We're all in this car together. At least it's a good start. We're all in the same car. And then you have the executor who says, I've already mapped out everything, the brakes, where we're going to get fuel, and then the systems thinker says, well, if we stop for fuel, we will all be hungry, and we won't even have the energy to choose the hotel. And then the constraint holder starts to say, well, we have only half a tank, everybody is starving, there are dietary restrictions, and I think someone should go to the bathroom now because there's been several complaints about it. And then the boundary breaker is like, why are we even in this car? Why don't we try an air balloon? So this is like the group decision. And whether you're in a company, at work, in a family, these group decisions, whoever is in the room and whoever is not in the room has an impact. So imagine what will happen if you have 3 drivers and no challenger, or no system thinker, or if you have 2 system thinkers, 1 challenger, but no one to drive, or no one to execute. And this is something that impacts the group decision-making every day. This is something that impacts our world. Look at the state of the world today. How many integrators do we have? How many drivers do we have? When you watch the news, think about it. Who made this decision? And how is it impacting us? So, decisions is one of the things that are very important, but AI will have the power to make our decisions worse or better. And right now, we are still in position where we can program agents. Even it's already getting a little bit out of control, but we can still educate them, we can still program them. Now imagine, so okay, right now we don't have the time to consider each forces, to have each forces in the room. But when you're going to have your AI agent, they can be your complementary forces. They can be the forces that will challenge your decision. Because very often, if you're the boss, no one will dare challenging you, and maybe there's someone in this room who would just give you the right challenge, but they will not dare because you're in the position of the decision maker, and people are always scared to challenge the decision maker. But imagine if you have AI who understands the entire room and can tell, okay, here we need some more systems. Okay, so that could be very interesting. So we've been through that. So all these decisions we're making, now we're going to have to think with AI. And I know everybody says AI will never make the right judgment, but really, are you sure about that? Because we get impacted, we get influenced about the data we receive. So it is very important to understand how decisions are made and what we can do with AI and how we can implement the right AI agents to help us make the right decisions. And this is training. So recently, I've just run what you've done in 10 minutes. We've done it in 90 minutes at Korea University. We mixed students with industry leaders and NGOs, and within 60 minutes, they had to create a social impact project. And this is the, oops, I think, can we have the volume? Okay. So, let's see.
22 different nationalities coming together to think about a social problem and really have some input and ideas and collaborate on how we can add social impact.
I found the introduction talk super inspiring, and I think it really set the stage for like the whole workshop for everything that came afterwards. And yeah, it was super inspiring. Super nice to hear.
I have to say I was really impressed by the Korea University students. I think they came up with a lot of really great ideas. They're very articulate. They have a lot of ideas for the future. And I thought just the whole programming was really smartly created, and I thought it was a great framework.
I had a really great experience doing the lab. It took a subject that is really big and really difficult to think about, like social impact. And it broke it down into a tangible set of steps that you can follow to use for thinking exercises, and just find a way that you can take your skills and actually be impactful in the community and make a difference.
I had a really great day. I thought it was really fun to work with people coming from different experiences and different age groups to come together to address a problem that we see in our community, and to work together and to see that it's actually possible to make change in a good team.
So now, we are speaking about all these people who are losing their job, but imagine if we give them the power to create projects that can make a difference in the world. And all there is to do is to be able to collaborate with AI to find better solutions, make better decisions. And rather than worrying completely about our world disappearing, it is time now that we have that power to create a new world. And there are frameworks that are being built, and this is what is collective intelligence. We can work with AI for the better or for the worse. Thank you.